Good morning, ladies. Let's let these ladies out this morning. Had a bunch of people over, mostly family, and we had a big crawfish boil, cornhole games. If you watched the first video, you're familiar with this walk. Pepper's got to be in the lead. She knows we're going to see the pigs. And we buy bulk feed for the pigs. It's less than half the price. But I do have a sack here I had to pick up because I'm running low before I have my next delivery or my next pickup. So this is Remington, for those that don't know. Now he's been in this pen for a week yesterday. And you have tore this thing up, hadn't you, buddy? When he started this thing off, it was, he's wanting some food. He's not happy that I haven't given him some food. So we started him off here in the trees, and it all looked like this, and he's rooted down and got roots and bugs and worms, and he's growing. He'll be 5 months old the 22nd of this month. You'll have to get out of it here. Quit. You'll have to move. Now, he's happy. I just want to talk to you a little bit about pigs and pigs on pasture. Now, I was raised out here in the country. This is not anything new to us. This first time I've had pigs in several years. We raised them growing up. I've had family and friends that's raised them their entire lives, so it's not something new. Now, I ask for suggestions from people that raise them on a consistent basis just to get input and stuff, but most of it's not rocket science. Now, one thing that we need to know about pigs and eating grass. Now, when you watch these YouTube channels, people pasture their pork, and these people have typically at least 20 acres, some of them 10. A lot of them have hundreds of acres. So they put these pigs, and you can see what he's done in a week here by himself, 16 by 16 enclosure, where they've got to move them constantly. They've got them in electric fencing, which electric fencing can be effective. It's effective if you can keep it up. Now, here on the property I have, there's no way that I can realistically do electric fencing for multiple reasons. One is we have problems with our power grid. We lose power quite a bit. So once these pigs test a fence, if they ever get against it and it doesn't shock them, they're out. If they get spooked by stray dogs like we have, they're just going to run through it. They're not going to stop. Another reason is you can see the property that we've got, and you see all these trees. Well, all it takes is for some of these limbs and stuff to fall on an electric fence, and we no longer have an electric fence operating. These pigs get out. They're not easy to get back in. You really need to consider your ability to keep a pig in. So that's one of my issues with raising them on pasture. I know it's really popular on YouTube, but I've heard some horror stories of people's pigs getting out, and a lot of people just stop raising them because they can't figure out how to keep them in. So you really need to build them a good pen if you're going to keep them. And if you're doing feeder pigs, you don't need a lot. Now, the issue is people say, well, I want the pastured pork because the pigs will eat the grass and they'll be a lot better. Well, that's not really true. It's not the grass that's making the pigs healthy. Now, pigs are a lot like us. They have one stomach, so they don't digest high fiber stuff really well. Cellulose, high fiber is not digested well. It's not like a cow. Now, a cow has 4 stomachs, 3 pre-stomachs and a regular stomach that they chew cud, so it starts breaking it down. They are absorbing all of the nutrients out of it, and it takes a long time. So it takes a long time for them to absorb all of that cellulose, all of that fiber. So basically, when a pig eats grass, the grass becomes a filler. It's kind of like you eating a salad. You're going to lose weight if you eat salads because we don't digest that stuff very well. We don't digest lettuce and stuff well, so you're going to lose weight because it makes you feel full. And so unless you've got other stuff in that salad, you're not getting enough nutrients. So people that are straight vegetarians have to take supplements, have to do other things, and they're all skinny. And they're skinny simply because they can't digest the lettuce. Same with a pig. He's gonna lose weight if he's stuck on nothing but grass. You have to feed pigs. Just biologically, even their teeth. If you look at a cow, they've got rows of flat teeth across the front. So that allows them to graze. Pigs' teeth are even set up different. So biologically, we know they're not typically grazers. A pig will eat anything that has good flavor. So if grass has good flavor or something like that, they're gonna eat it. So I'm in the pen here, and he's eating his feed. Now this feed is supplemented with lysine and different things that pigs need, things that our body also has to have. The same amino acids and things that humans need, pigs need also. They need one additional one. We're not gonna get into the complications of that. So they're a single stomach animal. They have to have stuff that they can actually digest. And you're not really gonna save any money on feed because it will take the same amount of feed to feed them out. And it's possible that it could take a little longer to feed them out simply because he's feeling full as he's eating. He's not packing on the weight as much. So when you've got them here, you know, they're gonna root around, but they're still dependent upon you giving them something good to eat. Now people are going to ask me, well, what about the wild hogs? They don't need anything. They eat whatever. Well, that's true, they do. They also eat dead carcasses. They eat meat. They eat deer. They eat the eggs and stuff from the nest they can find. They completely destroy habitats. And they're also wormy, a lot of times poor, and they spread a lot of disease because of the circumstances. So you got to remember, and I'm not knocking it, I'm saying, you know, if you've got enough property, that's the other thing about raising pigs on quote unquote pasture, is that you have to have enough land that they're not going to turn it into a war zone. When you stick a pig on a pasture, and you'll see videos of people saying, oh, look, they love the grass. Well, yeah, they're going to eat some of it. They won't eat all of it. They'll turn most of it under. When pigs hit a new piece of ground and they stick their nose down, it's like a mini excavator going into the ground. They're going to tear everything up. They want the roots. They want the nodules off the roots. Now, they will eat a lot of legumes and stuff, and they can process legumes a little better than they can regular grasses. But they're like a lot of animals. When they eat the grass, they want the tender grass. So that means that if you've got something that's overgrown and you want them to actually eat it and not just root it under, you're going to have to keep it mowed. So that means you need equipment and stuff to do that. He'll be in this pen by himself. This is going to be his pen. He's not going to share this with other pigs. So it's going to be plenty big enclosure. He's got plenty to do. We give him stuff to do. We've got cut off logs. We've got limbs. The kids gave him a ball to play with. And we've actually got this salt block here that he likes to kind of dig around. Now animals, if you're not familiar with animals and salt blocks, a cow's going to lick this. Pigs, deer, other things typically don't lick the salt blocks. As they leach into the ground, they like to get the dirt around it. So in doing that, they're going to pick up a few rocks. They're going to pick up the salt. They're going to pick up things like that that are beneficial for them. But you have to have a feed that has supplements in it. So his feed does have supplements. It gives him the lysine and the different things that he needs in order to grow healthy and strong. Now, I've got a responsibility not only to try to save money where I can, because I am a homestead. I've got a responsibility to this animal that he's going to have a healthy life. You know, we were raised out here in a poor state, and we grew up so poor that we couldn't pay attention. So we had to learn how to produce a lot of our food. Now, we don't make a profit off of what we do. Our goal as a homesteader, and I say a homesteader, it's basically here in Arkansas, it's our goal as country people is to provide as much of our food for ourselves as we can for the least amount of money possible. Now, we're keeping a sow and a boar because we want, we don't want to have to try to find feeder pigs, which are sometimes hard to find here. And so we can have 2 litters a year. If we breed our feeder pig that we keep to eat before we butcher her, it'll put her at a pretty big weight when she gets butchered, but that would give us 3 litters a year. If we can average 8, which they'll have a larger litter than that, but if we can average keeping 8 of those pigs to sell as feeder pigs, you know, in this area, we can get around $100 a piglet. So 2 litters, $1,600 on average. 3 litters is going to give us about $2,400, which should cover all of our feed bills, all of our upkeep on our pens and stuff, and it'll allow me to have free pork. So that's my goal, is to have free food to put in the freezer. Before you go into doing all this, you really need to consider, 1, the animal, 2, the space that you have, 3, if you're like us, there's 0 chance that an electric fence is going to work for us. It's way too much upkeep in order for us to do it. Now people say, well, you can get a solar charger for them and stuff. Yeah, but I've still got other issues. We have people, everyone here that moves out here into the country, the first thing they buy is a dog that they let run around, that they don't pin up, that they don't train to stay home, because I'm in the country and dogs run free. Well, their dogs run free onto my property too. And over the years, we've had dogs kill chickens. Luckily, right now, the ones we have aren't killing our chickens. We got to worry more about fox and stuff. But dogs are the #1 cause of farm animal death in Arkansas. And I'm sure it's like that along a lot of places in the country. Another thing about running your pigs on huge acreage of land is that if you're trying to raise a pig for food, you've got to have a balance between not having too small a pen to where he's confined, having enough area where he can be a pig, where he can do the things that he wants to do, but that where he's not walking all of his weight off. Pigs can be really active. So if you give them too much room to run, they're going to shed weight, and they're going to want to eat more food because now they need to replace that energy that they've expended. So there's got to be a balance. You throw him on a bunch of grass and you think that you're going to raise that pig up and that he's going to be healthy. It's actually cruelty. You're going to starve him to death. He can't gain weight on grass because he cannot digest enough of it. All right, so remember, he's a 1-stomach animal. He does have some bacterias and stuff in his gut that will help him digest a little bit of the fiber and cellulose and stuff, but not much of it. It's about the same as you. You eat salads every day for a year, I promise you, and that's all you eat, you're going to lose weight, and you're going to go to the bathroom a lot. We'll say, well, they'll remember where that electric wire is, and they won't cross it. They'll test it. And probably the best example I heard is a guy on YouTube said it's kind of like Jurassic Park, where they were feeding the velociraptors, and they were talking about how smart they were and that they would individually go test different areas of the electric fence to see if it was hot. And eventually they got out in the movie. The same thing with pigs. They're going to test it. They're going to get zapped. And you see a lot of videos where you hear pigs squealing that get into the wire. The moment they get into that wire and it's shorted out from growth underneath, and because you haven't weed eaten it, or it's got a limb laying across it that broke it down, they're going to be out. They're going to tear up your neighbor's brand new sodded yard. They're going to be like a chisel plow that has hit the ground with that nose, and they're going to turn everything over because that's what they do. As Chris from Homesteading the Hard Way says, they're going to tear up the world. My biggest problem with the pastured pork, thing isn't that you raise them on a pasture. I really don't care. It's that I think a lot of people are misled to think that pigs can live on grass and pigs can live on, they can't live on it. Now, the bugs and stuff help, but if you're going to feed a pig up to be healthy, he's got to be fed. You're not going to save money on a feed bill by having him on pasture. He's going to go rooted up. He's going to eat roots. He's going to eat bugs. He's going to eat worms. And that helps with overall health of the pig. He gets a variety of food, but he's got to be fed. and he's going to eat just as much feed because he's not digesting the grasses that he eats. And there are a lot of things that pigs won't eat. And there are some things out there that are actually kind of poisonous. Pigweed is actually poisonous for pigs if they ever eat it. Most of the time they avoid it because they know it's not good for them. So if you got a lot of pigweed, you might want to think about removing it before you put pigs in it. Now, I'm not saying don't do it. I don't want people to take it that way. I'm not saying that I know more than everyone, because I definitely don't. There's people that have forgotten more about pigs than I'll probably ever know. But I can tell you this, biologically, scientifically, we know that pigs cannot digest high amounts of fiber and cellulose, just like humans can't digest it. If you need a bowel movement, the doctor tells you eat more fiber, because you're not going to digest it and it's going to go straight through and produce a bowel movement. It's the same with pigs, one stomach animals. They've got a few bacteria that will help them digest some of it, but not all of it. Don't be cruel to your pigs and throw them out in a bunch of grass and then think you don't have to feed them. They got to eat. They got to eat. Kind of like an old country boy. You ain't feeding me rabbit food and telling me I can't have a steak every once in a while. I'm going to starve to death. Appreciate you watching. Stay tuned. We're going to have some meat chickens that got to be moved, and I'm going to show you my redneck chicken tractor in the next video.